In this video, we're going over dehydrating your food. I'm going to show you how to dehydrate some beef jerky. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cut up some vegetables, and I'm going to show you how to make dehydrated vegetables. A lot of this stuff is perfect for your primitive camping trips where you can pack it up in your bag, take it out into the woods. It's a lot lighter weight and it's a lot healthier for you than a lot of these prepackaged meals that you buy at the store. So the dehydrator we're going to use is the Limb. All right, this dude has 5 different trays that we can put stuff on. And it has a drip tray down here in the bottom, and that's to catch any of the juices and stuff like that, and it's easily to clean up. Now, one more aspect that we're going to use for some of the vegetables is parchment paper. This stuff is cheap. It comes in a 50-foot roll or a 50 square foot roll, and it is basically the same size as your tray. You just cut you a piece off, set it on here, and for a lot of your juicier foods, you're going to put parchment paper down first, especially when we make our tomato chips. We're going to put our tomatoes on the parchment paper, that way they don't stick to the grate. All right, I got a stainless steel bowl over here that we're going to put all this meat in. My favorite marinade to use is Moore's steak sauce, the original Moore's marinade. And this stuff is not as salty as Dale's or some of the other marinades, but it has a real great flavor. So I'll put this on there. I'll let it marinate for a little while, and then we're going to show you how I load it into the dehydrator, and then we're going to go ahead and get it all dehydrated. What we're using as our jerky today is Eye of Round Roast. Now this piece is a little bit thick, but this thing is perfect for jerky. Now I had them cut it sandwich meat thin. That way it's perfect. I had them trim the fat off of it. That way it'll last a little bit longer. I anticipate using this on a camping trip and hiking trip through the mountains. So we're going to go ahead and get this all done. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this meat here. This is going to be large chunks of beef jerky. And we're just going to line the bottom of this bowl. Like that. All right, so you go ahead and shake up your marinade, take your lid off, and then we're just going to coat this beef jerky with this marinade. Don't worry, it's all going to get used up. Then continue stacking. Now another way you could do this is to put your meat inside of a Ziploc bag and then coat it with the marinade. There we go. Now you're going to stir it up every once in a while, and we're just going to let this sit for about 10 to 20 minutes or so. All right, we've let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes or so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it all over, and there we go. You see how that marinade is starting to absorb into that jerky, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to flip this all over. Stir it around. Make sure we get that marinade all up in there real good. And so hopefully in about 10 to 15 more minutes, we'll go ahead and load this up in the dehydrator and we'll start making our jerky. So we have our non-stick parchment paper, and we're going to open this dude up and pull this out a piece. Roughly the size of our drip pan. This is our drip pan for the bottom. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to make it a lot easier to clean up whenever it's time, whenever we're done. So we're going to cut it about the same size as that. And that's just going to sit there and collect all the juices that's going to drip off of our beef whenever it is dehydrating. All right, so we're just going to take this and stick it into the bottom of the dehydrator just like that. That way when we start loading all these trays right here, it's going to drip down and we'll be able to have a little easier cleanup. You could also use aluminum foil for this as well. All right, we're going to go ahead and load these dudes up. I've already done one, set it inside the dehydrator, but some of these strips are real big. So we're going to try to play Tetris here. And don't worry about the table, everything cleans up. You can wipe it up. Try not to overlap them too much, but sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. So we're just going to have to make several trays of beef jerky. I like to use Tony Chachere's. This is a Creole mix, and it's a little salt and pepper and a couple other herbs and spices I like. And I just very liberally pour it on here. Now we'll load this thing up into the dehydrator. So now we're going to load this thing up in here. Like I said, I've already got one in here. And then we're going to keep repeating the process and fill up all of these. We're going to have 5 racks going in here. And then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, the last one has been loaded up. Now you just take your lid. And it just sits on the top like this, and you shut your lid like that. Now let me show you how we turn this thing on. So now we're going to hit this on button right there, and then it's going to say how many hours, minutes, and seconds we got here. And over here we have a thermometer or temperature setting. So on here, whenever you're looking, it'll say jerky 3 to 5 hours at 145 to 155. Then over here to the left, it has meat and fish, 8 to 10 hours, 145 to 155. That is essentially based off of the thickness of your meat. So ours is pretty thick, so it's going to take around 5 or 6 hours to make our consistent beef jerky. So we're going to set that temperature all the way up to 150, and then we're going to go ahead and do 5 hours. Well, we'll do 6 hours. And then we're going to hit start. And then you'll hear the fan kick on. And then now we just sit back and wait. We have a few seconds left. It should start beeping anytime now to let us know that it is done for the allotted time. It's been in there for 6 hours. There we go. And we'll go ahead and turn this thing off. And now, let's see if we can look and see how this thing is. Look at that. All right, we got 5 racks of beef jerky, well and done. So, and you can tell this stuff is done because it is just straight up beef jerky. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to let this cool off, and then we're going to vacuum seal it to get ready for our camping trip. All right, so now I got 5 bags here that I'm going to vacuum seal this beef jerky in. The reason I'm vacuum sealing it is for so I can divide it up in equal portions, put in the backpack, and take out into the woods. So I got a trip coming up to Colorado, and I'm using all this beef jerky on this trip, using all the vegetables behind me on this trip as well. So we're going to go ahead and start putting some of it up and seal it down. that should be enough for one bag. Now, we'll go ahead and stick it inside our food saver here. And then vacuum seal it. All right, now that it's done, it's in this vacuum sealed bag, and this stuff will last a very, very, very long time. Plus it's portion control. I could throw 6 or 7 pieces in a bag, put this in my backpack, put it in one of the other guys that's going with me's backpack, and each can have their own bag of protein while we're out in the mountains. So this was roughly an 8-pound roast whenever we had it cut up for beef jerky. And now I want to see how much it weighs after we dehydrated it. Now we got 5 individual packs here. And I want to see how much it weighs total. And it's 3 pounds exactly. So that's what, 5 pounds that we got off of there. So whenever you dehydrated it, we dehydrated 5 pounds of fluid or liquid or water out of your beef jerky. Do me a favor, strike that like button, leave me a comment, let me know if you ever done this. We're gonna move on to the vegetables in my next video. God bless you.